And the show this week, which certainly is a big one, is presented to you by Stan's brand new season of Better Call Saul.
That's right. Saul, the dodgy lawyer who was the star of the Breaking Bad prequel, certainly would have excelled if he was around during the Sir Joe era, wouldn't he, Clarence?
Yes, I think he would have, Errol, because he gets things done, unlike most legal eagles, and Sir Joe got things done as well. And in fact, the way Saul Goodman gets things done makes for very good entertainment.
Yep. The brand new season of Better Call Saul has officially kicked off with new episodes dropping the same day as the US. And that's only on Stan. So sign up today for your 30-day free trial and rip in.
Makes for great entertainment.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to another Batuta Advocate Hour here on Desert Rock FM. This week we've got a very, very, very special guest, as we always do. We've got Raph Dixon, and he's doing a podcast with the Movember Foundation in partnership with Diamantina Media, which is the conglomerate that owns this radio station, owns a number of other broadcasters in town. And Raph's here in the studio with us today. He tells us about the absolute highs that you get from being a father and the absolute lows that come in the early days, but of course, once you learn how to father, it gets easier.
You're listening to Errol Parker and Clancy Overall, editors of the Batuta Advocate on Desert Rock FM.
Welcome back to the Batuta Advocate radio show. You're joined by myself, Clancy Overall, and editor-at-large, Errol Parker. How are you, Errol?
Good, mate. How are you?
Good, thanks, mate. Now, we've got an interesting guest this week. He's here to talk to us about a very different field that we're used to talking about. It's not related to investigative journalism. Well, it is to a degree, but not so much organised crime, rugby league, or politics.
Mate, you think those things are hard? Try being a dad.
Oh, shit. And we're away. Now, if you are over the age of 15, you might be aware of this recent trend known as parenthood. Some parts of Australia are even younger than that. Now, there's a movement out there called Movember. You might know around November. The Australian cricket team are quite involved. There was a time when everyone had a Mo in the Australian cricket side.
They are a popular charity these days, I'd say.
Now, our guest, we should also introduce him, Raph Dixon. How are you, mate?
I'm good, thanks, mate. Those Mo's, though, that revitalised the Australian cricket team.
Well,
Mitch Johnson steaming down there in Brisbane.
Johnson particularly. I don't know if we ever saw one out of Roy.
We did see one, but we also saw the demise of the moustache, and then, of course, the team being caught for cheating.
Yeah.
So this might be the year of the Mo.
Yeah, the moustache keeps them honest. But
I'll tell you who'd look really shit in a moustache. Steve Smith. Just putting it out there.
Do you reckon it'll be like?
I think that David Warner
one?
looks. I think that David Warner looks pretty good in a Mo, but I just don't think that Steve would be able to pull it off.
Steve's would be a bit wispy. Now, the reason we talk about Movember is, aside from the Australian cricket team, they have a lot of ambassadors who talk about all kinds of things related to men's health. And today's guest is one of them, Raph Dixon. You are an ARIA-nominated EDM artist, if you will.
ADM, Australian dance music.
Australian dance music. Also a pioneer of skip hop.
I reject both of those terms.
But yes, musician. You've worked. You've produced music for a lot of people, but your own bands. Jackie Onassis and the Meeting Tree.
And One Day.
The One Day Collective. One Day Guild.
Yeah, we just went gold, actually.
Oh, did you?
Some people go gold like first week, second week, but we've gone gold, I think, 4.5 years after releasing Love Me Less.
Right.
But we're gold, yeah, we're getting the plaque.
So how did that happen? Did that appear on like a soap opera? Or where was the renaissance of the One Day Love Me Less?
No, it was a slow burn. It was the long tail. No, what actually happened with knowing that we went gold is that we saw another band with gold records on Instagram, and we were like, hold on, we got more streams than them, what's going on here? And hit up the label and was like, hold on, what's going on? And the label was like, oh yeah, you have gone gold, and sent us a certificate, and so we get our gold records.
So it could have happened 4 years ago.
Yeah, it actually would have happened a while ago. Probably not 4 years ago, probably a year ago. But Spotify nowadays, you got the long tail because you get on the playlist and the suggested things. That's how you get a gold record.
you are a kind of a modern man. You know your tech better than most. Certainly better than, the generation before you who vote erratically based on fake news that they read on Facebook. You're in the know, and you are a Movember ambassador, I guess you could say. They've asked Errol and I to grow moustaches. My biggest concern is I would have to shave my beard, and I have had one for about 25 years, so that would be pale, and who even knows how sculpted it is. I probably don't have a jawline. I don't even remember, because I grew this when I was about 14. Errol, you're a bit off the idea of a moustache. You're already a gay icon as it is, so Freddie Mercury.
Well, I do sport a light one, obviously, in between my court appearances, where I do go with the clean shave. It's interesting to unpack where the notion of the Movember thing came about, because obviously it's a charity and a movement that tells the stories that only generally affect men, and of course only men can grow moustaches. Or is that an outdated notion these days, Raph?
That is an outdated notion. Women can grow moustaches and women can lose their hair, mate.
You're right, Errol. The whole concept of men's health is very broad. It goes to testicular cancer, prostate cancer, mental health, and one that a lot of people focusing on now is parenthood. Not for any reason in particular, but it is fatherhood.
There is a reason in particular, in a way, and that is that it's something that we haven't really spoken about for a while. Like, I think over the last couple of decades, the idea of being a dad has changed. Look, obviously the reason we're talking is I have a podcast coming out about being a young dad and mental health, but fatherhood has obviously changed from our grandparents' generation, my grandparents' generation, and I have a chat to some grandparents in the podcast. As a dad, they didn't go to the birth,
Yeah, that was one thing. I've listened to the first episode of your podcast, which is called Dad in Progress.
Dad in Progress, that's
Dad
right.
in Progress. Progress, as you would say down south. Progress, as they say in Queensland. Now, that is one thing I noticed in the podcast. There was these odd codgers saying that you just flat out didn't go into the room.
Yeah, you didn't go into the room, you didn't watch the birth, nothing. And more than that, though, dads want to play a part in their kids' life nowadays. But the thing is, it's not like we're working less hard at work. It's not like, our mates expect us less at social functioning. So there's a lot of pressure on young dads, and that's what the podcast is about.
So tell us, what did the old codgers used to do? Did they just sit out there and smoke Winnie Blues in the hallway of the hospital?
I can imagine
they sit in the car out front.
The process of giving birth has changed quite a bit in 50 years. Like I couldn't even imagine giving birth in a regional hospital some 50 years ago. I mean,
I don't know if the process has changed that much.
That experience would have been hellish. No, but of course, the medical experience.
Yeah.
Where now, there's a whole smorgasbord of options.
Yeah, that's true. The gas, then obviously you get the barbiturate-based painkiller, and if that doesn't work, boom,
the spinal tap.
Yeah, the spinal tap. And I mean, the gas seemingly...
Or the baby comes out through the sunroof.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, it's that. So, seemingly, at least in my experience, the nangs did nothing.
Yeah.
But...
Really?
I mean, not to me, but as in to my wife.
Did you have a go on them?
Well, you got to have a quick little try. But they also set it low. Like I noticed, it's in a locked cabinet. They set the, how powerful it is, and they start quite low, about 2 out of 5.
Yeah, right.
And I don't know if they kind of glance over at the dad, because you're actually alone quite a lot. That's something I didn't know when I have a young daughter.
Yeah.
I didn't realise that we'd be alone for most of it, and the midwife kind of pops in and out. Obviously is there for the main event.
Do you have a button? What's the go there?
The gas? No, it's literally
just... I mean, we have... Errol and I both have children, but they were born a long time ago. You know what I mean?
They'd probably be about my age.
Well, yeah, just short of you, I reckon. But yeah, getting to the stage now where we could be grandparents soon. So we're not up to date with modern, I guess, childbirth
or pain relief.
Pain relief for modern childbirth. Do you have a button to press?
No. The gas is just a hose. You just breathe on in.
Yeah. No, when you're alone.
Oh yeah. You've got the button to call for the midwife, but I mean, it doesn't happen quickly.
Gosh, it's been a long time since you have been in a hospital room, because they've had those buttons there for 20 years.
Yeah, no, I actually don't. We can get into this in another podcast. I actually don't kind of subscribe to modern medicine. I think a lot of things can be solved outside of like big pharma and you know, and just basically this cult of like, you know, poisoning ourselves. Anyway,
yeah. Cheers, mate. Yeah.
cheers. Anyway, it's not just about childbirth. Obviously, your podcast. You talk to a whole range of people about different elements from in the hospital to the car ride home.
Oh, well, to be perfectly honest, most of the podcast is about that car ride home onwards, because I think that's the part that
It serves as a good metaphor.
Indeed.
You know, from your previous life as a carefree ADM tyrant to being a young dad.
That's it. That was the transition. Mm-hmm. Parking in the 2-hour parking spot at RPA.
Yeah.
And then driving on out and not paying for your ticket. And,
Yeah.
You know, as a young dad. No, but it does. It starts at that car ride out, because that's the part that you kind of don't get taught a lot about as a dad. You're taught about the birth. You go to
birthing classes.
Go to your birthing classes, but then all of a sudden you get home and bloody hell.
Really? So
It's on.
It's on. It's
Hell
on.
for leather.
You're taught how to change a nappy.
Yeah.
But you're just not taught, you know, like how your life will be different, because your life is obviously pretty different.
Yeah.
And as I was kind of saying before, you kind of, if you want to be a modern woke dad, you're not really supposed to complain that it's hard.
Yeah.
And dads don't complain that it's hard. Men don't really talk to each other that much and say like
fuck.
well, they kind of get that far, and it's like, yeah, mate, I feel that. Anyway, like do you
How about
understand the
them
rules?
bunnies?
Do you understand the rules of the 2020 final series? Because you know what I mean. You just go that one step.
How about that bloody Curios?
So were you just driving around with the baby capsule in the back of your car, just waiting for it? You know, just waiting for the day.
Yeah, that's
Jeez.
actually what happened. Except we had to get two because our cat pissed on one of them. It's for everyone, for expecting dads, for parents, basically with kids. You know, for the missus, if you know she wants to hear about it, basically what the dad goes through. But you know that having a 1-year-old going to work every day, still trying to see your mates.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it's about. How do you balance all these things? How do you make life a little bit easier? And yeah, it's 5 episodes. We talk about work, friends, your relationship.
So you had a few high-profile guests.
Well, we did. I was going to mention when you talked about your own series when it comes to modern medicine. One of the guests we had on was Archie Thompson, former Socceroo, holds the FIFA record for most goals scored in a FIFA-approved game against
American Samoa. American Samoa. We remember it well. Had a lot of money on that. I think I got the good oil from inside the FIFA camp. Anyway,
it was 21-0 in the end or something like that. I think he kicked 13. Anyway, but he has some different ideas with regards to
medicine.
Immunisation.
Yeah. Does that appear in the podcast?
No, that got cut.
Shout out Archie Thompson.
No, he's a lovely guy. Lovely guy.
One of our favourite Archies, aside from, of course, Archie Roach and Royal Archie, Archie Thompson. Now, there is a high profile. You've also got the first bloke of New Zealand.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That was a big get.
Thank you. Yeah.
Big get.
What is Jacinda Ardern's husband's name?
Is he a hairdresser?
Clark Gayford.
Clark Gayford.
Lovely bloke. Well, no, he's a... no, Clark Gayford. No, he's a host of a TV show, a fishing TV show.
Right.
Fuck, that's living.
Yeah.
Really?
But yeah, he was... So that wasn't planned, obviously. Like,
was that prior to him... Like, that's been his career prior to...
Yeah, that's his career.
Fatherhood?
Apparently, he's quite well known over there. This is Jacinda Ardern's husband.
So he's like the Andrew Eddinghausen of
without the rugby league
New Zealand, without the rugby league or without the sporting background.
So, okay, well, that's an interesting fact that I didn't know. The Prime Minister of New Zealand was elected, and her husband, at the time of being elected, was a fishing TV icon.
Yeah, like a young Rex Hunt, but again, without the sport.
Yeah.
So he's a host of a fishing show. I mean, it's a smaller country over there, right? Yeah. You know, I guess the media...
Share the roles.
Like, obviously here, you know, the media and politicians... it's a bit disgusting how in bed together they are.
Yeah.
But over there, apparently that extends to, you know, fishing shows and whatnot. So they were together. They were introduced by a mutual friend. her rise to prominence was quite swift.
Yeah.
You know, she only took over as Labor leader over there in New Zealand, I believe something like 6 to 9 months before the election.
Yeah, right.
And a really swift rise to prominence. Won the election. Have some convoluted system where you have to negotiate a majority government.
Yeah. Joined Winston Peters, the Bob Catter of New Zealand, as her deputy prime minister.
You bang on, and I think that's the route that this country's going down, by the way.
Elbow.
Constant minority governments.
Elbow Catter.
And it was only then that she discovered she was pregnant. So...
Right. Whoa. So post-election, how many days? I did listen. It was a week or so.
Yeah, it was pretty close to the day.
Yeah.
So, obviously I had a chat with him because, I mean, what an insight into, I guess, modern fatherhood.
And so now he is a full-time stay-at-home dad.
He is. I mean, I don't think he's given up on his career as a presenter of a fishing show.
Yeah.
But obviously, I guess with...
He's more hands-on than... Yeah.
The misso is obviously quite busy, I would say, being a world leader.
Yeah.
Going to the UN and whatnot.
Yeah, heading into an election year this year.
What are our chances? Have you seen the polls?
Oh, I don't know. I don't follow stuff.nz. But, she could be within another shot and he might be having another term.
And there might be another bub just popping out.
All hands on deck, yeah.
Yeah.
And a quick break from the podcast now to let you know about another humorous show you should get around.
That's right, Clancy. Ben Elton is in the country and he's doing a run of live shows. His first stand-up tour in 14 years.
He's comedy royalty, isn't he? Particularly for people of our vintage, Errol.
Yeah, he certainly is. Plenty of people all over the age of 30, particularly the ABC nerds and Anglophiles, would have a penchant for the funny man who's behind shows such as Blackadder, The Young Ones, Mr. Bean, and The Thin Blue Line.
He's had huge success as an author, a playwright, an actor, a director, and of course, a stand-up comic, which is why he's back on stage. So head to livenation.com.au for information and tickets to his show and get around our favourite Brit outside of Meghan Markle.
That's livenation.com.au. Go on, treat yourself. Now back to the podcast.
So yeah, heaps of special guests. And can you tell us some of the things that we haven't really spoken about already? The social changes. Particularly coming from you, someone who's spent your entire 20s on the road partying, all of a sudden, record scratch.
Yep.
It's now Netflix Kids.
And a Volkswagen.
Yeah.
That's right. Got the V-dub. Actually just had a service the other week.
Good stuff.
Changed the spark plugs. Runs like a dream. It is a big change. Yeah. I was obviously a member of a few bands, touring DJ. I had some good times, over there in LA, etc. Yeah. But I know that you hear musos say this. You do get a little bit sick of the lifestyle, in that I was already slowing down a little bit before we got pregnant, and I see other people my age, which is early 30s, still out there touring and
still caning it.
And to be perfectly honest, I think bloody hell, mate. Like,
you're not green with envy.
I'm not green with envy, but actually that is something we talk about on the podcast. I was having a chat with Sam Perry, the great cricketer, and he kind of put it best that before you have a kid, you have the ability on the weekend. I used to do this. I'd kind of wake up, obviously living with my now wife, but I'd wake up and, she might still be asleep, and I'd pop down to the cafe, take my time, see what was happening, text a few of the boys, scroll the internet, maybe hang around the cafe till midday and have a Bloody Mary.
Yeah. Pick up a case.
This idea that you can kind of get up and just do whatever you want, that's now long gone for me. And that's long gone for, if you're a dad, you can't do that anymore. Everything has to be planned. Yes. And that's fine because there's upsides of being a parent, and you get all of the dopamine and endorphins and everything of that. You love hanging with your daughter, but it's also fucking hard to just change all of a sudden to not be able to do what you want most of the time. And how you handle that, how you handle wanting that back, but knowing you can't have it. Mm-hmm. And you don't want it all the time, but there are times where you're just like, fuck me, I would love to do nothing for the day.
Wouldn't mind to spend 10 hours in the green room right now.
And just how we navigate that. What are the best ways to actually still make sure you get some time for yourself, make sure you have some time for your partner, make sure you have some time for work. You can dedicate some time to work without either A, feeling guilty for being at work, And B, a lot of blokes, and I felt this too, sometimes you're at work and you're just thinking, fuck, I don't want to go home. I just can't, like, especially in those early months, not so much anymore. I don't want to go home to the chaos of a kid.
Yeah.
How do we get through that? How do we navigate that? That's kind of what we talk about. I talk to a lot of psychologists as well on the podcast, as well as the other dads who go through it. People, Aaron Gox.
Yeah. You had a chat to Goxie?
Had a chat to Goxie. He's a great dad.
Yeah.
He's got 2 girls that are quite a bit older than mine, so he's able to offer some advice.
He's a lot further down the road.
Yeah, a lot further down the road.
I'll do some of that old school South Brisbane parenting techniques, I guess. But he's always almost been a single dad for a lot of his life too.
Yeah.
Now, do you find yourself asking yourself? I know it happened to me certainly when my first born Elijah came about. What did I do with my time? You know, when you are organised and you've got every minute of the day is accounted for. Do you ever wonder, how did I spend my time?
I often think, I mean, especially, mate, I was like basically a professional musician. You know, we didn't do a lot.
Yeah.
Like, as much as musos will say, like, oh, God, I've just come back from tour. Like, I need to have friggin' 3 weeks off. And, making an album, like, it's so hard. Like, it totally takes, like, 3 years.
Air-conditioned hotel room each night. What the hell?
Yeah, like, an album totally takes 3 years. Like, of course it fucking doesn't. Like, I don't know what I did. I actually don't know what I did with my time. I don't know.
Were you a gamer?
I was a gamer on and off.
Yeah.
It didn't take up the amount of time that it takes up. I'm a fake gamer.
Yeah.
I'm a fake e-girl gamer.
Casual gamer.
Yeah. I'm a casual gamer. I'm very much a casual. I don't know what I did with my time. Just dicked around.
Yeah.
I was more social, I suppose, and that is good for you, you know.
You have played in a number of social sporting teams as well.
That's
haven't you?
true.
AFL, cricket.
Yep.
You've
Touch. Mixed touch.
Yep.
Mixed netball?
Mixed netball, yep. I've played some mixed netball.
Do you play any of that now?
I don't. I don't. Not even squash. Not even squash anymore, which is the ultimate dad's game in a lot of ways. I'm trying to get back into the squash, lunchtime squash, though.
Now,
I really got into my golf when I became a dad, which I guess really led to the conclusion of my first marriage, of course, with my first wife. I think what you're doing, I think your approach is a lot less selfish.
Well, I mean, I don't want to sound like...
A lunchtime match is a bit better than all of Sunday.
Well, that's kind of...
Saturday, Sunday.
That's kind of what we talk about on the podcast. Like, you do
Christmas
need
Day.
some time... Birth of second child. You do need some time for yourself, but the way, like, it's being sensible about scheduling it. So if it's hitting the gym immediately after work once a week, rather than, as you say, spending a whole Sunday doing golf every single weekend...
When you do finally get that weekend away, something happens. The missus goes and stays with her mother.
Yep.
And it's just basically you've got 48 hours to yourself.
It's
Do you find yourself heading out with that kind of energy that, this is I'm back where I was, and then you end up pulling the pin and going at home at home time?
Yeah. Well, I mean, my bedtime has moved significantly forward.
Yeah.
Like, my standard bedtime is 9 p.m. now.
Yeah.
And in the past, it was, I guess midnight, but maybe realistically, you're not you're on your phone, dicking around 1:30 realistically. Yeah. That's now pretty much 9 and I fall asleep. But no, when my partner Yasmin, my beautiful wife, she does that, spends a couple of days with her mum or what have you, I do go out with the same energy, the same fire in the belly, for sure. But... Mate, I'm getting old.
Yeah.
You guys would know it. Old bones.
Yeah.
Old bones.
Yeah.
I could probably still turn it on if I really wanted to.
Yeah.
I think days like this festival's coming up, and I might be hitting that with a friend, with another dad.
Yeah.
But no, exactly. Like your life changes a bit, and for the better, I would say. Well, not for the better.
So what you're saying is you now wouldn't spend 10 hours on the hill watching the Newtown Jets and then 12 hours at the Ivy.
You've got to make a transition, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm 32.
Yeah.
Some point between 27 and 40, you've got to make some kind of transition. You don't have to. There are those 40-year-olds who are still hitting it hard. But are they good chat?
Yeah.
Are they someone you want to be stuck in the corner of the gladdy with?
Ripping as hard as the Irish 457 guys who have been here for 12 months and have never seen a summer before. Yeah, I know. It is interesting. And look, after my divorce, I probably was that 40-year-old. Briefly.
You 100% were.
Yeah, look, I found my feet shortly afterwards. Mate, I got married at 19. It was like a Bruce Springsteen song. So once I finally had a bit of freedom, and it was Barnaby Joyce all over again.
Anyway, Clancy, so Raph, you're not playing sport. You're not staying out at the pub until 3 a.m. Are you at least still making music?
Oh, I still make music, but it far less frequently. You learn to be a lot more efficient with your time.
Yeah.
I schedule in time to make music with my good friend Joyride. I believe he was on an early podcast.
Yes,
here,
yeah. And we got a cease and desist from Cricket Australia because of the things he said on our podcast. Go back and listen to it if you want to, listeners. Joyride, episode 3 possibly.
And maybe 67 as well. I think we've had him on twice.
Perhaps.
For some reason.
Anyway,
well, you learn to. I mean,
are the label vultures still circling?
Well, I'm still technically signed to Universal Music Publishing Group.
Yeah, right.
Actually, I'm still definitely signed to that because the beauty of publishing is the money just keeps rolling in.
Yeah, right.
So we, as part of Jackie Onassis, we had a song called Crystal Balling.
Yep.
That was on a British Gas commercial in England, and after all the tours, one day, Hottest 100 song, gold records, this and that, sold out shows, Meeting Tree, we played every major festival. Jackie Onassis, Crystal Balling, you get that ad.
And
So
then
the flame had flickered a little bit by the time that ad
cash
popped
train
up, right?
leaves the platform.
It was probably that song came out, I think, in about 2012 or 13, and then it was 2 years ago that British Gas picked it up, and I bought the daughter a Gucci dress.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, I did actually.
Bulletproof glass Hummer. Now, tell us, who finds that? Who finds that song?
What do you mean?
Who finds that song? Was it like someone working
It
at
would
an
have
advertising
been
agency?
an ad agency in London.
Did they
who'd
Kazam
just
it in
be-
a cafe? What happened?
Well, so that's what your publisher's supposed to go out there and do, right? Your
Right.
publishing company goes out there and is in conversation with these ad agencies and, puts forward what they think is going to be appropriate for these
Yeah.
songs. And then next minute I get an email just saying, hey, do you want this money signed on the dotted line? And I send it to my mate Kai, and who owns 50% with me, and we both say, yes, please.
Okay.
So the label stuck around.
So the label stuck around, yeah. So, because with publishing, what happens is they give you an advance, as you've probably heard, and I don't actually make any money on the publishing side of things until that advance is paid back.
Yeah.
But then as soon as that advance is paid back, it triggers another advance.
Yeah, right.
So they then pay me another advance. So I'm in debt to them, I suppose you could say. The other way of looking at it is they're trying to get their money back from me. Yeah.
For this investment they made on two 26-year-olds in 2011.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, I'm still signed to Universal Music Publishing, but I'm a free agent when it comes to the record side of things. I used to be signed to Sony Music Australia. Know your will. If you want, if you're a label out there looking to give a big advance to someone who'll make music maybe once a fortnight for a couple of hours and doesn't really intend on putting out another album, but we'll definitely put out like a few songs here and there, hit my line.
Yeah, all right. We haven't seen the end of Mr. Sydney.
No. Look, honestly, yeah, your priorities do change a bit, and that's the other thing. Like,
Well, your career changed.
mate, like
Yeah.
if the average age of a Triple J Hottest 100 artist is probably younger than my own age,
Yeah.
I would say.
Yep.
Um,
Except Tones and I, not telling us everything.
like it may well be a decade younger than I am now, and so like at a certain stage, I'm more than happy to give the kids a chance. I'm probably more Double J fodder nowadays.
Yeah,
let's be honest.
Yeah.
One day you look at yourself in the mirror as a muso and you say, "Geez, should I be servicing to Triple J or Double J?"
Yeah.
Well, there's lots of people at Triple J who are working there and who are actually, on the broadcasting team there who most certainly belong at Double J. If only most people at Triple J had the same type of
Self-awareness.
humility as you do.
Got to know when to fold them. You boys would know that one.
Yeah, definitely do. Got to know when to hold them and fold them. And it seems when it comes to music, you're transitioning in audio from ADM, Australian dance music, peripherally hip hop to now podcasts about young adulthood / parenthood / fatherhood.
Podcasts about
/ men's mental health.
Yep. Podcasts about fatherhood and the mental health of young fathers, and also a bit of mid-tempo electronica.
So who did you speak to when you were making this podcast? Obviously, a lot of celebrities, as you said before, and everyone knows that celebrities know everything. A couple of experts, maybe?
Yeah, bunch of psychs.
Yep.
Bunch of shrinks.
Yep.
And they all have a bunch of tips, basically, across the podcast. And they've had a lot of experience. And they all reiterate the same thing, which is that basically what I've been saying, that one of the issues is dads are all feeling the same way, and that is an important thing to get out there. Every dad I speak to is feeling the same way, but also not saying anything about it, because you kind of feel guilty for having a whinge, because, let's be honest, your wife has gone through a lot, or your partner, not necessarily your wife. Not sure in the case of you two.
Oh, mate, don't even go there.
No. Sorry, fellas.
Let's just say that family tree's it's got a bit of mistletoe on it. But yeah, it is a much better option to go about things, the way you're suggesting, than to bottle it all up and then go to Bali for 3 weeks every year with the boys. There's much healthier ways to do things than that.
No. One of the things that is again mentioned in the podcast, one of these kind of tips that really help, is the fact that, like, blokes, as I was saying earlier, we have that one-dimensional conversation where someone says they're doing it tough, and you go, "Oh yeah, mate, know what you're saying anyway," and you move on. And instead of doing that, just asking that extra question, "Oh yeah, why is it tough?" And when you get the answer, saying, "Oh yeah, how does that make you feel?" And just asking an extra couple of questions, just an extra 2 or 3 questions. In the advertising world, we call that laddering.
Laddering?
But in real life, you can just think to yourself, instead of changing the topic immediately, give it a couple more questions, and you'll be surprised at, A, how friggin' interesting the conversations are all of a sudden. You're actually having more interesting conversations, for one. And for 2, just like how much better you feel for having that connection, because you find out that people are actually going through exactly the same fucking thing as you, but as blokes, we don't really talk that much about it.
Well, Raph Dixon, thank you for being the first bloke to ask these questions and record yourself asking them with experts and special guests on Dad in Progress, the Movember podcast.
Yeah, presented by Movember. Google it. Well, put it in your podcast player. Subscribe, and then leave a review if you can as well. Only because, I'll read it.
And it's coming out next week, isn't it?
Yep.
So keep an eye out for it. Dad in Progress. Thank you, Raph Dixon.
Thanks, boys.